Hey, folks, I like to say we are back. I don't think we're going to need the truck for the sunshine today. We will just have to be the sunshine here on Good Morning from Circuit World in Blue Ridge. I'm your host, BKP. We're here every Friday morning for 2 hours. What a lineup. We have America's. Okay? I'm serious. I really feel this way because people text me and tell me this. We have America's best Ask the Doc segment. Well, if it's in America, it's all over the country, right? Best one right here. Dr. Raymond Tidman and Dr. William Whaley will be with us here in just about 4 or 5 minutes. Ask the Doc. We have our questions of the week for Dr. Whaley. I think that's who showed up. I think that's Dr. Whaley over here. A guy with, well, I'll just let you see for yourself. Kind of caught us off guard this morning. But anyhow, and then we will do our weekly COVID-19 update. I have a good question from one of the viewers I'm going to get in this morning. So that is Ask the Doc. Then we have the All-Star Political Panel. I always say, wonder if we'll have anything to talk about. And we are rounding out the show. I did get word this morning that Rena will be here with a new pet, Emily, from the Humane Society of Blue Ridge, so our pet of the week. We're really excited about this show. Now, I want to cover this with the All-Star Panel, but I told you it's tragic. I don't even know the words to describe it. It's tragic that this young man, all right, walked into massage parlor or whatever they're called. I don't know. Never been in one. Okay, and 8 people are dead. It's just it. But as always, the media and Democrats don't believe in letting a good crisis go to waste. And I'm serious. I told you this when it happened, when we reported it 2 days ago. When it happened, I said, watch and listen for the media narrative. Eventually, the Asian hate crimes or Asian attacks on Asian Americans are on the rise. And it has gone all the way to blaming former President Donald Trump, number 45. I want to talk about that with the All-Star Panel, how the media has shifted this, and it's tragic. There's 8 people dead, okay? And we will not, okay? Now, I'm going to say things, and I understand people tend to get offended. They just do, okay? They tend to get offended, all right? And it's a weird white kid. I said it. I'm sorry. People are upset, okay? It is just, to me, a weird white kid, okay? There's a lot of deep issues with this man, a lot of deep issues there that need to be uncovered, need to be looked into, to find out why he walked in, all right? Why he walked in and murdered 8 people. But as usual, the media, and even now, Joe Biden and Democrats are rushing within 48 hours to turn this into something it's not. And if that bothers you, I'm sorry, but what they're turning it into is not what happened 2 days ago. You will find out as in time, you'll find out. But one, obviously, we don't advocate attacks on anybody. That's not okay. So moving right along, President Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and I will guarantee you they will be accompanied by Senator Warnock and Ossoff. Watch and see. They will be here today. They are going to meet with Asian Americans. In the Asian American community, they're going to meet with some leaders today. They're going to meet with Stacey Abrams, right? Going to meet with Stacey Abrams. They're going to thank Georgia for turning blue. That's what they're going to do. They're going to thank Georgia for turning blue, and they're here to intimidate. Yes, they are. They're here, H.R. 1. They are here to intimidate this Friday Georgia lawmakers that are working on SB 241, HB 531, and now a 93-page bill. Look it up, SB 202. There's a lot of changes in there to our election laws in Georgia that are being looked at nationally, okay? Looked at nationally, that they're here to intimidate lawmakers. Meeting with Stacey Abrams, don't dare pass this. Watch and see. So are you aware that a judge, now this is not an old story, it happened this past week. Are you aware that a judge in Noonan said that if they bring a plan, I had it here a minute ago, judge may unseal Fulton absentee ballots for fraud investigation, okay? May unseal them for fraud investigation. The lawsuit that was filed, okay, wants to look at, and it's Garland Favorado. I think his name's Garland Favorado. Look him up. He is the lead on this lawsuit, and he has tried to work on election integrity in Georgia for years, okay? He said these machines were a problem. He said we had a problem years ago, okay? But his lawsuit, Garland Favorado, nonpartisan lawsuit, a judge said, you know what? If you bring me a detailed plan of how you do it, okay? We want to do this in such a way that dispels rumor and disinformation and sheds light. The devil's in the details. So Faverado's case, okay, they have to come to the judge. He is opened up. He's open to looking at the absentee ballots. They have to bring the judge a detailed plan of how they would do it, and then the judge will approve that. Late April, we could be going through the absentee ballots in Fulton County. We will see. I'm your host, BKP. We got a lot more to cover this morning. H.R. 1, what's happening in Atlanta, Brad Raffensperger, Secretary of State of Georgia, what a mess that office is. Who may be running for Secretary of State is Congressman Jody Hice from the 10th District running for Secretary of State with Donald Trump's endorsement. We have so much to cover on the All-Star Political Panel, but after these messages, we have Ask the Doc with Dr. William Whaley and Dr. Raymond Tidman. We'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Do you feel like healthcare has become too impersonal?
3 times an hour, I'll get you in, I'll get you out.
At Lifetime Medical Center, you're more than a number. We get to know you, not just your medical issues. Dr. Alana Kent is board certified in family practice and offers same-day appointments. She and her staff treat conditions from minor to chronic issues. Lifetime Medical Center, convenient to Jasper and Blue Ridge.
This may sting a little.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
It's been 4 generations of family ownership, tens of thousands of customers, and more Chevys than we'd ever be able to count. And more than 60 years later, when we say Days gets it done, we still mean it. With the North Georgia Mountains lowest Chevy prices, a huge selection, and outstanding customer care. See Days Chevrolet in Jasper, and let's get it done.
Days Chevrolet, Days gets it done.
Find new roads.
Hey folks, we are back. I'm your host BKP, and it is Friday. We're at Circuit World, and it's time for Ask the Doc with Dr. William Whaley and Raymond Tidman. Now we have Raymond Tidman here today. I don't know where Dr. Whaley went because the guy I know usually has a tie. Who are you?
Well, here's my tie.
Where's your tie?
Okay, I'm just telling you how devoted I am to this program. I'm not working today. I'm going to L.A. today.
How dare you take a day off?
I know, I understand. I'm going to L.A. today because you haven't been able to travel. I've been to Alpharetta and Marietta, and the guy says, well, what time's your flight? I said, I'm driving. It's Lower Alabama. So anyway, I'm going to an adjacent state.
I get it. I think that's funny because we talked about that. But anyhow, hey, we always want to thank Georgia Cancer Specialist affiliated with Northside Hospital. We appreciate you for this segment. And yes, greatest Ask the Doc segment in America. Dr. Whaley, how are you?
I'm great.
I'm just glad you're going to the Gulf Coast, LA, because you don't want to go to the Pacific Coast, LA.
No, that's right. No, I'm not going to the Pacific, LA. It'll fall in the ocean.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's appropriate to ask you where we are on the our rain gauge.
Oh my gosh! Yesterday, one of my patients.
I think people want to know.
One of my patients who lives just over here near the Two Wheels Resort, whatever that's called,
right.
Suches, has a rain gauge in his farm out there. It was 4.2 inches. I think officially we had 2.5. We had 4.2 inches yesterday. We're still down for this month by 1.5 inches and down for this year about 2 inches.
Well, the old
But we were 10 inches
Now,
up
how much
last
did
year.
the lake come up this week?
Well, I just
About 3
over there-
feet, didn't
I
it?
was over there this morning,
Yeah.
and I took a look at it. I said, "Wow, they filling up the lake." So I sent out a text message to my family. You know, we're going to get the boats in the water here as soon as the last freeze is over. That's usually middle of April.
Well, folks out there nationally or worldwide, we're in Georgia, and as the song says, it's been a rainy couple nights, and I don't think we're done. So anyhow, you always give us
All right,
the update.
yeah, that's right. I just did. All right, you ready to go?
Yes, I am. I'm
All
always
right,
ready.
we've got
That's some good questions.
We've got two good questions here, and both of them have to do sort of with kind of primary care and how you live your life. The first one is, my wife is 60 years old and in excellent health, and she stopped going to her GYN when she finished menopause. Our family doctor saw her for a routine exam and asked about any bleeding, and she mentioned that she had had some blood on toilet paper infrequently. He referred her to a GYN who did a D&C last week, and she has grade 2 endometrioid carcinoma by the biopsy report on the portal. She has not been back to see the local GYN. What do you suggest? Well, I want to stop there for just a couple of things. When I was in training and when I was in the Navy, I used to do locums for family practitioners who went on vacations, and twice I covered the practice of the president of the American College of Family Practice at that moment. And the family doc in that day did the GYN pelvic exams on their patients. When I went in practice in a Mayo Clinic model internal medicine practice where the specialty work is 75% of your practice and 25% is general internal medicine, we did the GYN exams on our patients up until it got to be, I guess, probably the late 70s maybe. So I kind of would like to see the good family practice go back to being a little more continuous.
I think outside of urban areas it still is. I would dare to guess that the majority of Pap smears are done by family physicians in the country.
In the country, yeah. Yeah, so that's
But not
the
in
point.
urban areas,
The point I'm making there is that this woman stopped going to the GYN, and apparently nobody kind of picked up the ball and ran with it for a decade. So this is kind of easy. Now, she's not been back to local GYN. What do you suggest? The second part of this is, the part I don't particularly like, is she got her biopsy report off the portal, which is an electronic thing where hospital report gets immediately put into the machine, and then it's accessible in many of these practices, and I don't know how to do it myself, but patients can get in and see what their data was. Well, now she's got the thing, and she's got an appointment with the GYN, obviously off a week or two, and so she's, I think, kind of panicked. Wouldn't you say, Ray?
Yeah, you're bringing up a really good point. I've been burned a couple times in my career from being too busy or rushing around, and when you're, I call it the C word, or when you're giving a patient really potentially life disruptive information, they deserve to be face to face with you and get their questions answered almost immediately, because I mean their mind goes to places that are appropriately worried, and all these kind of things happen. They can start ruminating inside and thinking about, well, this or that, and to just get it off a computer and see some words, and you go look up the words, and it's not a good thing.
Well, that's what happened here. Yeah. Well, and the other thing about this is I don't blame the GYN really, because many times it takes 10 days to get a path report. Yeah. And so if he had scheduled her to come back in 2 days, he wouldn't have had a report. Now, if the hospital processed it quickly and they have a report in 2 days, and he's set her up for a week because of the usual time it takes to get the report, then he's been hoodwinked and messed up by the system, because it got in there in 2 days and she found it too early. Let's get back to the question. Show that first picture because people don't even know what we're talking about. Endometrioid carcinoma. You look like you kind of lost it there, Pete.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is a uterus, okay?
All right.
And you've heard of cervical cancer. We talk about ovarian cancer all the time. Well, okay, the inside there is called the endometrium, and that's where the egg implants and the placenta goes, and that's what comes out when women have menstrual cycles. So that is not an uncommon form of cancer, but not near as common as we see with cervix or ovary. Okay, pull that down a minute. There's a clear-cut pathway that they go through here. So what do I recommend? This is going to be really easy. We're just going to pull out this picture. You've seen millions of these. NCCN guidelines, endometrial carcinoma. The problem is this isn't available to the general public, and if they find it, they get confused. So here you got somebody who's done a biopsy, and now they're going to get an MRI or a CT of the pelvis to make sure it hasn't penetrated it. If it's negative, meaning that it's confined to the uterus, and that's what I'm going to tell you that she probably has. Grade 2 is relatively low grade. Then you're going to go right in and you're going to have a hysterectomy. But if any of these tests are positive, you'll see you got 90 other ways to go there, right? So I can't answer how this is all going to turn out for you can pull that down there. I can't answer how all this is going to turn out for your wife, but this is a relatively common sort of cancer. We frequently see it in postmenopausal women, particularly those that have been taking hormone replacement treatment. And that's the reason that you don't stop going for routine exams of the gynecologic equipment when you have gone through menopause. The next question we're going to come to is an 89-year-old woman here in a minute. But somebody has to have the responsibility for kind of making sure that happens. Now, it used to be that they did an annual pap smear on 20-year-olds, and American College of OBGYN and the insurance companies and all that stuff said unless you've got HPV or had many, many sexual partners, you need to have your GYN exams less frequently. But they never said stop them. Now, Ray, what kind of frequency would you say a 60-year-old woman ought to have something done?
Yeah, so I would say based upon your risk factors, and if they've had any abnormal, then you really keep going on with those. The couple of big take-homes with it, and that's going to be your doc's preference. So I don't want to try to override that, but you shouldn't assume that after you get through menopause that you're out of danger. That's the point. The other very important point is that any bleeding post-menopausal, any bleeding needs to be worked up. And so, and some ladies will think, well, I'm kind of back to going having periods again. No. If you have bleeding post-menopausal, somebody needs to check that, biopsy that, pursue it. The other thing that's interesting you mentioned there is that my experience with our profession is that if there's a question of a surgeon going in on this kind of case, the GYN oncologists really want to be there. It's just generally not done by general surgeons who do so many other things. But GYN oncology is really a specialized area. Wouldn't you say to?
Yeah, right. And that's exactly what I was going to say. The question I really asked was, how frequently after menopause, taking if the patient's had anything abnormal, the frequency but if it's a perfectly normal person, they're not taking hormones. Because if they're taking hormones, they should be seen more frequently because there's more things that can happen. If they're off hormones, do they go every year? No, they don't. Probably every 3, I think, is probably pretty decent.
It's pretty decent interval, and it really is dovetailed to the patient. And by that point, most ladies really hopefully have their kind of routines down, and they have a good relationship with their provider.
Yeah, but their GYN's retired because he would have put them. Just think now, she's 60, so he probably delivered her babies when she was in the 20s. Yeah. He's gotten to the end of and he was older than she was when she was 20 and having kids. He quit, so she fell through the cracks.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Anyway, so that I think what I think is that women need to stay with their primary care doc, and the primary care doc in his histories needs to take that GYN history and make some suggestions about what they ought to be doing. That's my point. Okay, this next one is a great question here because we're talking about fine china. And this is a fine china question. Mm-hmm. Fine china. You see where it says fine china right there?
Yeah, 89
All
years
right.
old.
My mother is 89 years.
Glasses off, see it.
Okay, now listen to this. Now listen carefully now. My mother is 89 years old. And all her sisters live into their late 90s, and the mother lived to 101. Now, mostly when you talk about 89, you think they're on their last legs. You remember what I used to say about George Burns at 89? What did I say? George Burns was seeing Las Vegas showgirls until he was 99. I used seeing better. All right.
I remember what you say about
Okay,
George.
yeah.
They could see.
All right, yeah, seeing. I changed it. She has not had a mammogram in 20 or more years. Now, this is a thing we hear all the time. Her dog jumped up and hit her on the chest, and she found a lump. Thought it was the dog bruising her chest. It didn't go away, so it was just biopsied and is infiltrating ductal cancer, and the hormone receptors are both high, whatever that means. Does she need to see a surgeon or an oncologist? Well, at least he knows she needs to see somebody, doesn't she? Put up that first picture of that nice lady there. You got that picture there? That lady is actually 89 years old. She's not my patient, but she's from a course on breast cancer in the elderly. The picture that she's showing is a real nice woman sitting there with a needle in her arm, got a little cap on, getting chemotherapy, and she's clearly a nice little old lady. You can pull that down. Well, that nice little old lady's got a lot longer time to live. And here's this next, you got to have one of these, right? So put that next one up that's got that linear graph in it. Now, they're pretty colors there, but this is the incidence of new cases of cancer and death by age. And so breast cancer is not too common way back here. And here we got people in their late 80s. But this number there is the deaths. The death rate, you can pull that down now. The death rate of breast cancer for elderly women is high. And then you want to know, is it high? Why is it high? Well, number one, when you're studying people in a research protocol, so Ray does a lot of research over there. When somebody dies, all-cause mortality goes into the death rate. So when you're studying a group of people that have breast cancer, and the husband shoots the wife that's on the experimental protocol, she's a death. Mortality. She's a death on the experiment. Well, it surely wasn't the drug that killed her because her husband shot her, right? So those statistics are a little bit scary. Except that elderly women frequently are not given the thorough evaluation that it takes to best tell how they should be treated. So pick up the next one. There's going to be a little more. There going to be a little more pictures here because this is an exercise that has to have some brain. So breast cancer in the elderly has some very favorable features, as this one does, and the unfavorable things are you don't know how long the patient's going to live. You don't know how many, do they have brittle diabetes or strokes or angina or something? Are they frail? So those are patient-specific characteristics that have nothing to do with the cancer. Over here, generally the cancer in the patients is very favorable, real high estrogen receptor positivity. Pull that down. Got it down now, Emily? Well, that's what that meant about the hormones are both high. Pick up that next one. This is kind of easy. So when you've got breast cancer in the elderly, what's the first thing you're supposed to do?
Estimate life expectancy.
Estimate life expectancy. So that brings us back to George Burns, doesn't it? Now, it says, see the available tools above. You can pull that down now.
Now, I will say this. Now, I know we're talking about breast cancer, but I am well aware of senior cancer, we'll just call it that, cancer in seniors, to where doctors
own family. We talked about that.
Start looking at the health. All right, what's the health? When you start talking about clinical trials, what to do, what medications, what can you endure.
Well, go on and tell them. And you're talking about your mother.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't care. We've done it. But yeah, but
Yeah.
my mom, double hit lymphoma, and when
Well, now what's double hip lymphoma? Big deal, right?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
really bad.
And
Okay, really
I-
bad.
The thing is, and I'll just say it quickly, I learned a lot of stuff I didn't want to know.
Yeah,
what
but
I'm saying?
you're
learn a
better
lot-
off for it, though,
right.
aren't you?
But at that time, and my sisters, were there, but I was involved also, and they were more in tune with it. But they went through, and I remember hearing, "What's mom's health? Let's go through mom's health. What can you endure?" Because when you're at that age, and she might be watching, so I don't want to give her age. She's not 89.
What did I tell you? Treat her like she's biological age. It's going to be tough.
Yes.
And the chances that she's going to get through this and be well are infinitely bigger than the chances that she's going to die of the treatment.
Absolutely.
In other words, the hazard-benefit ratio is on the benefit side. Yes, there's hazard, but the hazard-benefit ratio is on the benefit side.
I would say, as being right here, listening to this at 89 years old, treat mom.
Well, she's also got good genes. Now,
Right,
let's get
exactly.
into the story
That's
here.
how we started.
Exactly.
She's got the right parents.
Mother lived to 101. So,
All right.
be prepared for the treatment. It could be tough, right? But
All right.
not to go on there.
All right, but here's another one of those. That's the endometrial cancer one, not the breast cancer. So here's the breast cancer one. So there you go. Let's put that one up there. So what this tells you is that in these patients of this age group, once you know that biologically they're okay, this is confined to the breast, it's estrogen and progesterone receptor positive, you can pull that one down now. The treatment is going to be the same algorithm, and that is you got to do something locally, and you've got to, and do you or do you not have to do something systemically to prevent recurrence? Well, I guarantee you that this woman with the estrogen and progesterone receptor positivities won't have to take a pill. I can tell you 95% predictability without having seen it. This is not going to be too big enough to where the surgeon's going to want to take off the breast. He'll sample the lymph nodes. She'll be in it. She won't even spend the night in the hospital. She'll be an outpatient surgery. Maybe they'll let her stay a night because she's 89 years old, but basically she wouldn't. She's going to heal from the surgery in 2 weeks. She's going to go to physical therapy to make sure her shoulder still works real good, and she's going to take a pill. So she's going to have a month, and then she's going to take a pill, and she's going to do just fine. Now, that next question, the end of the question, does she need to see a surgeon or an oncologist? And Ray answered that. But Ray answered that question before when he talked about the GYN oncologist. Mm-hmm. So we have breast cancer teams. You've heard that right.
Yes.
Okay, so what she will see, if she sees me or she sees the surgical oncologist, the same thing's going to happen. There'll be a medical oncologist, a surgical oncologist, and a radiation oncologist who will discuss her case, and they'll decide, yes, she should have radiation, or no, she shouldn't. And if they do a lumpectomy to preserve the breast, the answer is yes, she will. If she decides, when in doubt, cut it out, or just get it off me and has a mastectomy, then she may not need radiation therapy. So all three will talk, then they'll give her her options, and they'll say, Mrs. Jones, this tumor seems to be confined to your breast, but it's pretty big. You can either have a mastectomy and they'll take a couple of lymph nodes, or a lumpectomy and they'll take a couple of lymph nodes. And we believe, from what we know now, it might change when we get to surgery, but probably won't. You'll have to take a pill for 10 years. And if you keep the breast, then you're going to have radiation once a day for about 6 weeks, but your breasts will be symmetrical and they'll still be there. But if you want it off, you're not going to need radiation. And the patient will make the decision, Ray.
Yeah.
They'll get enfranchised as to how they should best be treated.
And they'll look at all angles and they'll make their own decision.
Right. And I would say that 98% of patients in this situation today, or 95%, have a lumpectomy. But there are still people who don't want to take the COVID vaccine, right? They strongly feel that they don't want to take the vaccine. We'll switch that over. There are people who, if they've got cancer, they want it out. It doesn't make any difference if there's an option to not take it out. They want it out. Well, if they want it out, I tell every patient, I'm treating a patient, not a chart. And Ms. Jones, if you want to have a mastectomy, we're going to get you a mastectomy. The next question is, you're 89 years old. Would you want to have a reconstruction when you have the mastectomy? That's what you have to consider before you do the mastectomy. Most 89-year-olds would say no. But yesterday, yesterday I saw a 75-year-old woman who just married a 50-year-old man. She might want a reconstruction if she had one. So that, again, is a personal decision. And what does it go back to what Ray says every time? Every patient's different. They need to sit down with their doctor, and they need to come up with a plan based on their value set, what's important to them, and have all the information. So I think your mother's in good shape, and go on and let her see the surgical oncologist, the medical oncologist. It never starts with a radiation oncologist.
I want to talk about the dog that saved your life, but echoing what Bill said there, he shows you frequently what we call algorithms, which are decision trees of things to check as you work through your decision process. But nowhere in those algorithms are you locked into doing what that says. And if you are of the mind that you've got to follow an algorithm in order to take care of a patient, you're in the wrong profession. I'm sorry. And there are some people there. It's just not the way you practice medicine. The dog. So he jumped on her and caused her a little bruise or hurt her a little bit, and she started checking herself, and she found the lump. She should have already been checking herself.
That's
just
right.
Because you're not that age, you don't stop seeing your doctor, and you certainly don't stop doing self-breast exams. Okay? And men the same thing. So, I mean, I tell people to inspect their bodies, and I had a case in here just that Bill had sent me, a primary care case now. Fella had a lump in his leg, and it got a little bit tender. But I don't think if it got a little bit tender, he would have bothered with it. But thank goodness, sooner or later, he got it looked at, and they took that lump out, and it was a bad sarcoma, and they had to do an even bigger, wider resection to deal with it. So check your body, and if you find something that's that abnormal or getting bigger or getting painful, don't sit on that. Go get it checked. So her dog saved her life.
No, now listen. Now he just came up with one of my favorite things I talk about. Remember, my right hand should look like my left hand, only a mirror image.
Yes.
My right eye should look like my left eye, only a mirror image. So if the right breast and the left breast feel different, even though it's not clearly a lump, somebody needs to look at it. Man had a lump in one leg and didn't have it in the other, and he ignored it for a while. So if you got the bump there and it didn't go away in 6 weeks, you know, like, oh, I might bruise myself, you want to jump on it a little quicker, don't you, Ray?
Yeah. And I think people don't want to be a hypochondriac, and they don't want to come in for every little thing, and that's true. But, you know, you just be observant of your own body, and if it's asymmetrical or it's changing in size, shape, color, or it's getting tender, don't fool around.
All right, now I know you got two questions that came in this morning before we got started that relate to last week's discussion of COVID. And this ain't a COVID program, but if you look real carefully at these numbers, the incidence of COVID death, for example, in Fannin County, there have been 61 deaths and 2,228, quote, cases, end quote. That means positive tests. So that death rate has gone down a little bit compared to last week. But yesterday, there were 0 cases and 0 deaths. That's the first time that's happened since way back last March, I think. So the COVID case rate, hospitalization rate is falling. That to me means, and the death rate's falling, but if the hospitalization rate's falling, that means that you can predict that the death rates are going to continue to fall, even though, as Ray just got through saying, a lot of states and stuff are clamping down harder right now than they were before, which I think is idiotic, because they're worried about the, quote, London, South African, and the other spikes. We've already tried to put that away last week. But anyway, the COVID situation I believe is somewhat improving. The news of the news of the week. CDC and World Health Organization create threat levels for COVID variants. That's like the terrorism threat level, and that's the big stupidest thing I ever heard of in my life.
Thing. It's part and parcel with what they've been doing. It's just creating fear.
Yeah, it is.
I was checking the graph, and I sent it out to you guys. There are over 1,500 variations of COVID. 1,500. Okay? You don't know if one of them's going to be bad until it becomes bad. You can't look at the mutation change in that and say, oh, well, that was going to be a bad one there. They have no idea. But they can look at each and every one of these DNA and RNA sequences and say, yeah, that one changed a C to an E, and we don't know what that means. So for anybody to be running around saying, well, you got to be worried about these variants, we've had variations all through this.
And that's a common cold. Remember?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Get the paper.
Well, I do want to say this. Always, I like to get right in there. Thank you, Georgia Cancer Specialist, affiliated with Northside Hospital. I have a real quick question when we close, and I know we got to move along. I have two questions, and as the conversation, we'll say the conversation that I'm hearing is surrounding the vaccine and taking the vaccine, the single shot, the double shot. Should I? Am I okay? This question came in. I had COVID-19. I had COVID-19 exactly 1 year ago this week. I went to the doctor 3 days ago for an antibody test. They called me yesterday and said, yes, I was positive for antibodies. Should this replace the vaccine, or will I need it in the future?
Two answers. They're based on time. Right now, when there's inadequate vaccinations around, it's perfectly fine for this person to wait. They are essentially immune. Okay? And so for them to take someone else's vaccine right now is a little bit selfish, in my opinion. So you'll notice Senator Paul, he had the illness.
Right.
And they keep asking him, well, are you going to get the vaccine? Are you going to get the vaccine? He said, look, I'm immune. Somebody else can get the vaccine right now. They can have the vaccine. I'll decide about me later. Probably for him even later, he's going to say, as long as my antibody tests are good, I'm immune. I don't need the vaccine. So, yeah.
I'm going to stop you there.
Yeah.
But we don't know that
We
yet.
don't know
so
that
there's
yet.
going
So
to
could
be,
you retest for antibodies every 90
No,
days?
the antibody's worthless. I'm glad they did, but she should be relieved. But we're going to know more in 6 months than we know today, as I said last week. But what's true today may not be true in 6 months. So I would tell that patient, if you're a healthcare worker or a frontline person,
or you have an elderly person you're taking care
or
of.
whatever, you're recommended after 3 to 4 months to get a vaccination.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the general population.
Yeah.
That's people who are out there. So we don't know the answer, but the answer probably is someday you might need a vaccine. But right
this
now,
is a year later. I mean,
I understand.
No. We're talking about in this situation with inadequate vaccines around, and we're still trying to get all of our seniors fully vaccinated and moved down.
Wait. Don't get in line in front of somebody in a nursing home,
Right.
or don't get in line of somebody that's overweight, that's 40 years old. Let them get the vaccine. You've got a reason to be calm for a while.
okay.
So I'll say be calm for a while and listen to us each week, and we'll tell you, and don't pay any attention to what Dr. Fauci tells you.
Now, can you get the antibodies test anywhere?
Yeah, your doctor can order it. Now, I would caution, and hopefully the doctor's paying attention. There are labs that are doing good work and labs that are not doing good work. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
We could tell you could use Dr. Marlowe's lab, but that'd be a
All right.
payola.
conflict of interest.
So this is another one that come to me yesterday. We're having a discussion, and I agree with this question. I mean, the person that brought this question to me, because what I'm saying out there, we hear herd immunity. There's still confusion around the numbers that we get reported on different things. So why aren't natural immunities being counted in overall herd immunity numbers? Fauci seems to deny all we know about pathogen immunity.
Okay, here we go. This is really kind of easy. They're not doing the population test. You remember many months ago, I gave you a story at the Costco in Greater Manhattan, where 3,000 people went in Costco in one day, and they got them to let them prick their finger, and 14% had antibodies. That's a population study. Until you go into a population and then measure the antibodies of people who have not been vaccinated and have not had the disease, that's what they're talking about, you don't know what proportion of people had an asymptomatic case, were never ill, and gained immunity. That's the herd immunity that is from the herd and not from having the shot or the illness. So that the herd immunity includes those that have had the COVID vaccine. It includes those that have been ill and diagnosed, but probably the largest number are those that never got sick, got the virus, didn't know they got the virus, and have antibodies. So we are right now not doing population studies.
And we're only speculating about what that is. I mean, there's speculations as high as 30% have had asymptomatic spread without knowledge of it. Let me follow up on Bill's answer there. And this is, I watched the exchange between Dr. Fauci and Dr. Paul yesterday in the Congress.
They need to let Dr. Paul have more time at the podium, don't they?
And this is immensely frustrating for me. So let me try to bring it down into lay language. Bill talked about risk-benefit analysis, okay? And we do that on individual patients. We should also be doing it on anything that we apply in medicine. And in this particular disease state, for whatever reason, it was not done. I have not seen anyone ask Dr. Fauci et al., all the people that are around him, what is the risk of your treatment? How many people are you hurting? How many students have not gotten an education? How many businesses have been destroyed? How many people are in desperate straits that are taking more drugs and overdoses? What is the risk of your treatment?
Teenage suicide.
Suicides. No one has asked him that question. No one's held him to that standard, and I don't know why we don't. We, as physicians, we're trained to do that. He somewhere at some point in his life was trained to do that, and no one's holding him to it. This disease, now that we know a lot about it, has this almost 80-20 split we talk about. It's not a precise number, but 80% of the deaths are in this population of folks that is very defined. Okay? The rest of the folks are in a flu risk pattern. Okay? I mean, flu kills people. Flu makes people really sick. If you've got other problems, flu can hurt you worse. But we don't change our whole life. We don't change the whole culture over flu. We know that there's a population of folks that are at risk for COVID, more risk. Now, they're not all going to die if they get it. We know that. 96% of them live through it. Okay? So, but it's an increased risk in that population. So all of our treatments now and all of our social decisions and cultural decisions should be based upon what is the risk to that population. We've said it time and time again on this program. How do you protect that population and then let everybody else do their thing? This is not novel thinking. This is not radical. It should not be radical thinking. This is medical common sense.
Which is why in the world are kids not in school?
Why are they not in school? Why is there any place with an economic shutdown? Why in the world would you tell somebody they got to be inside in their own house at night, where, by the way, you share the virus? Why would you not go out in the sunshine? Why would you not spend time on the paths or on the hikes or getting exercise? It's absolute nonsense, and it is almost scary to me that our populations, our citizens are not saying no and hell no. You don't get to tell me what to do. I'm a free person. Well, that's my rant.
Well, they're doing a pretty good job of it in Florida and Texas, Georgia.
Well, I'm watching what's going on in Florida for spring break, and there's this crazy thing happening down there. People are making their own decision.
Yeah, what did I tell you last week?
It's as crazy as it is. They're making their own decision.
That picture they showed.
If they want to go to the beach, want to go to the sand.
That picture they showed, though, those people were being baked. I mean, the sun was all over them. You can tell me that virus is going to live very long?
10 seconds.
Well, I want to say,
might be 18.
I want to say one of the things is we're out here and we get so much information and we don't know I'm gonna put it like this: we don't know what to believe, and not really attacking the CDC, but now the CDC says, oh, kids can be 3 foot apart.
That was all a make-believe number to start with. For the 6 feet, there's no science behind it. There's no science behind 3 feet. It was just, okay, let's make up a
Well, there
number.
is a science behind 6 feet. It's not very good science, and that was that. You've seen that picture though, where the rapid photograph of the guy sneezing. So that's 6 feet came from that guy's photograph.
You know
or
what
something.
3 feet apart is? That's where the desk is now.
Yeah.
The desk is here, and this one here, and there's an aisle between it. The kid is 3 foot apart now, so I mean, before.
The recess, though, when they get behind the gym and start kissing, is closer than 3 feet. You think you're going to stop three? I'm serious. You think you're going to stop third graders and fifth graders and stuff at recess from finding some way if they're. I mean, kids are going. I mean, some of them
wrestle.
They're going to wrestle and tussle. I mean, I just think it's stupid. And as I said last week, my grandson is wrestling 9-minute. 3-minute things in a high level with kids, and they can't shake hands after the bout.
Bill, I need to find out where this resource, or where this quote was from, and it was a military quote, and I think it was from between the First and Second World War, one of those, where the lieutenant or somebody said, "Look, I've got a disciplined group of military men here, and I cannot quarantine them for more than a week without riots occurring. Okay, I just can't. You can't do it. And to expect or think that you're going to quarantine everyone, a nation of people, when you can't do it with soldiers, is ludicrous. And yet we rolled it out. All you people go run hide. All of you stay to yourselves. And when the results were that it didn't make any difference, and people were surprised."
Yeah, look at New York. It's getting up more and more people. Anyway, I'm not. We're not.
You got a
that's enough
closer
that.
or something you wanted to
No,
say?
I'm dry today. I'm sorry.
Okay, good. We'll leave you there. All right, and you?
I like my tie.
Yes, you.
I like the jacket. I got the leather memo this morning, but I'm not going to L.A. like you. So.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Dr. Raymond Tinman and Dr. William Whaley, we thank them so much every Friday for being here. This is our Ask the Doc segment. You can find this segment on fyntv.com. Look at Ask the Doc. All of them are posted there. You can share them with your friends. Share that page with your friends. Everyone's loaded. Also, information about how to contact Dr. Whaley and information about Northside Hospital. FYNTV, Ask the Doc. Everything is there. And please share your questions or ask your questions. Info, INFO, at FetcherNews.com. Put in there, Ask the Doc, or on our social media pages. So don't hesitate to send your questions. Always thanking Georgia Cancer Specialist, affiliated with Northside Hospital, for this segment. Gentlemen, thank you very much. We appreciate it. You head for Lower LA. I don't know what you're headed for with those with those socks. I don't want the people to say.
That's the way physicians dress now in the mountains, and I think people should take a close look. This is a very, what do they call this, elegant casual or something. I'm the only guy I know, because of my senior age, and my dad was a Baptist preacher's son, that still wears a tie. Yeah. Right. Do you know anybody that wears a tie to work every day besides me? No.
4 days a week, I do. Monday through Thursday, I do.
Really?
Yeah.
And when he's preaching.
Yeah. And we got to go, man. I'll start political panel right after this.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment, All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Do you feel like healthcare has become too impersonal?
3 times an hour, I'll get you in, I'll get you out.
At Lifetime Medical Center, you're more than a number. We get to know you, not just your medical issues. Dr. Alana Kent is board certified in family practice and offers same-day appointments. She and her staff treat conditions from minor to chronic issues. Lifetime Medical Center, convenient to Jasper and Blue Ridge.
This may sting a little.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
It's been 4 generations of family ownership, tens of thousands of customers, and more Chevys than we'd ever be able to count. And more than 60 years later, when we say Days gets it done, we still mean it. With the North Georgia Mountains' lowest Chevy prices, a huge selection, and outstanding customer care. See Days Chevrolet in Jasper, and let's get it done.
Days Chevrolet, Days gets it done.
Find new roads.
Circuit World has complete queen bedroom packages at amazing prices. Get this queen bed, dresser and mirror, 1 nightstand, bedding set, and free 32-inch TV, all for only $1799.99 or $129.99 a month. Or get this complete queen bedroom set and sleep in style, also for only $1799.99 or $129.99 a month. What an incredible deal! Stop in today at one of our 5 locations and get the furniture you've always wanted at Circuit World.
Ace is your helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge, we have your new house in stock.
Spring is coming. Time to work and play in a new truck or SUV from Days Chevrolet in Jasper. Now save $8,000 off new Silverado crew cabs, or save $5,000 off a new Chevy Equinox. The spring savings are here right now. So soak up that warm North Georgia sun and see Days Chevrolet in Jasper, #1 in truck country.
Days Chevrolet, Days gets it done.
Find new roads.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Hey folks, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. We are at Circuit World in Blue Ridge, Georgia. Bruce, Rick, sold. And it's going, gone, sold. Yeah, I hope they don't have to deliver it until we're done here at 10.
Exactly. That's what I was wondering. If they're going to cart it off and load it up.
It's happened.
We could set a new power lift record.
Quick change on the set, right? Yes.
That's right.
Rick, Bruce, Joeen is traveling. She'll be back next week. We're at Circuit World here in Blue Ridge. A little rainy here in North Georgia.
Was that predicted? That's the weatherman.
Little wraparound showers, yeah.
Little wraparound.
Wraparound from that big system.
Yeah.
Wraparound from a big system.
Yeah.
There you go. Only here. Anything else there, Bill Cairns?
Yeah, right.
It's going to be a cool weekend, but sunny.
There you go. There's our update. Cool but sunny in the forecast.
That's what they call me.
I don't know. Where do you want to start? I'm gonna. Obvious. Here's the usual. I'll say where you want to start,
and then he'll take over.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm gonna maintain silence. Where do you want to start, Rick?
I would like to. I wanted to throw something out to people that really. I want to put in perspective what $1 trillion is.
Okay, go. I like that. Okay.
All right. So,
Why?
Why not? Because I don't think people really realize the magnitude of $1 trillion and what it's doing to our debt right now. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys each a magic machine, and every time you turn that, it'll produce $1 every second. Okay.
Right.
Every second of the day, every second of the night, every second. How long do you have to keep that machine on? Don't cheat.
I live for my glass.
Yeah, right. How long do you have to keep that machine running to get $1 trillion? All
right, so folks, what Rick is about to attempt here in this next
is sleight of hand.
in this next
Nothing up my sleeve.
is okay. He's going to, because I'm going to 1.2. You hear on TV 1.9 trillion.
Right.
And a new infrastructure package is coming. 4 trillion, and maybe the Green New Deal add another 3 trillion. What's $1 trillion? But if you were to take, I like this, let's recap. If you were to take a machine,
right,
and you turn
magic machine,
and every second a $1 bill comes out.
So you can spit out $60 every minute.
$60 a minute.
How long does it take for you to amass $1 trillion?
How long does it take, Rick?
Well, what I'm going to tell you is that it would cover 3,992 square miles in dollar bills.
How deep? Just one deep?
Well, if you want to go deep, if you stack it, 67,866 miles for $1 trillion.
So my guess is 10,700 years.
Your guess would be way, way off. And how about you? You want to make a guess?
No,
You're peeking around.
Yeah, I'm trying to
I got two aces here. What are you doing peeking in my hand?
Exactly. I want to see what he's holding.
You would have to turn that crank 31,688 years to get $1 trillion. Think about that.
I was a third off, or 2/3 off.
2/3 off, yeah, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you were closer than most. Most people say, a year and a half.
Okay, so let me...
31,600 years.
I got it, but what's that mean?
That means that we'll never pay it back.
Okay, so what's that mean? What's the end all?
We talk about the impact all the time. The impact could be hyperinflation. The impact could be, becoming Venezuela. We call it, the loaf of bread will cost $41.
I recommend, and not pushing this out of the way because I like the conversation, but I recommend Larry Summers, former Treasury Secretary for Bill Clinton. I recommend you watch Larry Summers' recent interview, and then you watch Janet Yellen, used to be Fed chair, is now Secretary of the Treasury. Watch Janet Yellen's interview with George Stephanopoulos last Sunday morning.
Who's this Larry Summers with?
Larry Summers, don't know who he's with now. He used to be.
Who did he interview with? You said CD
Oh, man. It's an economic show. I forget, 4chan or something like that. I forget who the business network he interviewed with.
Oh, okay.
But he talks about all the possible signs of inflation out there.
Mm-hmm.
And what to watch for and what excuses they will start making. And Yellen actually starts, you watch Summers first, and then you watch
Yellen.
Janet Yellen. Now the thing, I don't want to get too far on this, but the thing that got me with Janet Yellen is when she was Fed chair, she said our debt, we'll call it debt to earning, all right? It's the GDP. That our debt versus our GDP kept her up at nights. George Stephanopoulos actually asked her, what happened to that? She said, I've changed my mind on that.
I've evolved.
Yes, I changed my mind on that. You know what a reason is? And you got to go listen. Janet Yellen said
she wanted to be Treasury Secretary.
No, well, she said the interest payments are so low. And the interest is so low that we can sustain the debt because of the low interest. So what she's really telling you, if you pay attention, when the world gets together that owns the debt, not just China, when the world gets together and says, okay, America, we have you over a barrel.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to raise 1 basis point, 2. You no longer can pay the interest payment. Maybe it's time to get rid of the dollar and go with the world currency. So here's our out for you. This is my thought long term. Here's your out. Your out is we'll wipe out the world's debt and we'll go with this new currency. I mean, it's down the road, but I think it's around the corner.
So, I mean, is the new currency Bitcoin? Is that what you're saying? Or
I don't know. You see where I'm going with that?
But
what say you?
Well, I mean, China wants to become the world currency.
Right.
And they've been fighting for that for how long?
a while. But, the yuan is never going to take over the dollar. The renminbi, the yuan, Chinese currency, that's not going to happen.
Why do you say that?
I think other countries, look at the European states. They'll say, "Oh no, the euro. We're stronger, better." I don't think they'll be able to agree on it.
We're going down a road I don't know if we can return from with this debt. 2021, it exceeds our GDP. It finally has.
It's the lowest. I mean, it's the
Right.
worst ratio since World War II.
Right. It exceeds it. So, and I don't see any coming back. And I will say this: if you look at it, yesterday we had a meeting with Chinese officials out there in Alaska, and supposedly they smacked us around a little bit. You want to talk about humanitarian
crisis?
You want to talk about that?
Human rights violations?
So, human rights violations. That's right. Supposedly, the Chinese did not. We weren't treated very good at that meeting yesterday with the Chinese.
And the Chinese said the same thing about the way they were treated by the U.S. So it's a big bloviating session. Both of them are just like trying to position for domestic politics.
Yeah, but our people went in and sat down and said, "We're back." Come on, what's with this? We're back. We're re-engaging.
Yeah,
we're re-engaging
and they
with
go,
our allies.
You're a bunch of amateurs. Get out of the room.
But now, Bruce. Now wait a minute. Let's not gloss over that intel report that came out. China had nothing to do with interfering with our elections.
Oh, rubbish.
Nothing.
Rubbish.
Russia. I made the joke last week. It's like the who interfered with our election awards 2020, and they're up there at the podium, and there's two guys up there, wonder who it'll be, wonder who will win. And the winner is Russia once again.
Repeats.
Right. Yeah, for the fourth year. How do they keep doing
Why
that?
is the government always looking for Peck's bad boy? They always seem to have or want someone they can pound on, and it doesn't make any difference.
If you're over there, Rick, and you're thinking that China had anything to do with our elections, or maybe has some ownership in some software,
You think?
What? I just saying. Be careful there.
When
Rick.
did that
Be
occur?
careful.
When did
Flying-
that occur?
You're flying awful close to the sun.
I know. Brad might be watching.
Exactly.
Can I tell you what I'd like to talk about?
Yes,
And it's,
yes,
it's,
Rick. You
as,
go right
as
ahead,
usual,
Bruce.
it has a lot to do with your inputs. What is the marriage now, or the who's winning the race? HR1 or the Georgia bills in terms of addressing voter rights issues?
Give your opinion. What do you think, Rick? Because I have a lot on that.
That's why I asked.
I don't think I really have a strong enough opinion one way or the other.
Well,
I mean, there's no question that Obama started with the federalizing the elections.
Right.
And they're taking advantage of COVID, and they want to keep the same rules and regulations that went into place. They were supposed to be temporary.
All right.
To come up with HR1. My only question is, if it was such a perfect election, Brad, why are we making all these changes? It's the most perfect election in the country, right? Did he not say that?
Yeah, Brad said it was perfect. But
Come on,
I
Brad.
He was paraphrasing Trump, on the phone call. It's the most perfect phone call.
I recommend. Let me recommend an article. There's so much out there in encapsulates. That's where I'll go with it. It's not a long read, but it takes a little time. But I think Molly Hemingway on the Federalist, the media. This is the article. Media's entire Georgia narrative is fraudulent.
Exactly.
Not just the fabricated Trump quotes. Now, I'm going to answer your question on HR1, but this past week, I guess the Washington Post, the WAPO, is kind of tired of Jordan Fuchs using them, and that's my opinion, and she is the Georgia Secretary of State, Deputy Secretary of State.
Right.
And
Under Brad Raffensperger.
Right, and
Raffensperger.
and it was a created position. Let's remember that. He created the position. But she is the one that sent the fraudulent quotes about the conversation with the inspector, the investigator in Georgia, lead investigator, I forget her name, in the Secretary of State's office, that Trump had a 6-minute conversation. Basically, find the fraud and you'll be a national hero. It didn't happen, okay? So the Washington Post, which they did not enjoy doing this, they had to write a retraction, and they had no choice but to write, this was fraud. I mean, it was lies. The quotes were lies. They were made up, period. So that being said, a lot is surrounding the quotes. But if you read this article, it's in the Federalist. Molly Hemingway, again, one more time, media's entire Georgia narrative is fraudulent, not just the fabricated Trump quotes. So
one act of contrition by WAPO wipes out, months and months of omission.
No, you're right about that.
Yeah.
You're right about that. Now, HR1, let me just say this. HR1 is to combat not just Georgia. There's legislation in Arizona,
Pennsylvania.
There's a lot of
Michigan.
legislation to change elections. Okay, I am offended, and I'll say it like this: I'm offended every time they say Jim Crow laws, because I have asked people, don't exert over 5 minutes. Just go study Jim Crow for 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. And this is not Jim Crow laws, or as Raphael Warnock said this week on the floor, considering HR1, the senator from Georgia, that this was Jim Crow laws in new clothing. Okay?
And they
Those were the
Abrams.
talking points. Every Democrat pundit.
Stacey
2 days in a
Abrams,
row.
Jim Crow laws.
We're
becomes
coming
the
up with
deliberate hot button issue.
Yes.
They know they're going to throw that word out there, and it's going to be a hot button.
There was no chain of custody in Georgia's absentee ballot, there was no these drop boxes. There was
no oversight whatsoever.
Oversight on chain of custody. Okay, and the thing is, and let me just say this: when you hear exact match, okay, exact match. Read this article, because what is not put out there is like we want identification for absentee ballots, and you would think we'd set the world on fire by saying identification, okay?
Yeah.
And they'll say, well, we have exact signature match, but what they don't do is they don't tell the truth of what really it is in that consent agreement that Raffensperger entered with Stacey Abrams illegally,
unconstitutionally.
Exact match, it was not exact match of your signature on your voter registration card or whatever it was. You could take the ballot, and if the signature matched the envelope, they would call that exact match. Well, what if...
Well, the envelopes are the same.
Yeah, but what if the fraudulent ballot, this person and this person signed them both? You see what I'm saying?
Of course.
But
as we know, it's wide open.
Right, it was wide open. And we just want to take that out. Want to take it out.
Did you see the Michigan Secretary of State?
Yes.
The local judge up there said, she did similar to what Raffensperger did. Not exactly the same, similar. Unconstitutional. She said absentee ballots have to be presumed to be correct. So any problems with an absentee ballot in Michigan, they will presume it to be correct. Way beyond what she was able to do, unconstitutional.
Right.
Well, here's what happened in Pennsylvania.
And more of this stuff is starting to come out. That
it's more coming out.
Some of what Trump was saying, alleging, was indeed
was absolute factual.
If you read this, I want to get into his question there, and if you read this article, you talk about curing ballots. In the past, if your ballot was not accurate, it went in the trash. It went in the trash if you couldn't get. Now they allowed curing the ballots. Okay, but what they don't tell you is that, let's say like Pennsylvania, if the absentee ballot there was something wrong, they could put a team of people on finding you and saying, "Hey, man, you gotta cure this ballot." Here's the thing they leave out. Is they didn't go for curing ballots that were for Trump. They went into areas to cure ballots that were Democrat areas. But Republican areas, which they had facts to show, they never told those people, hey, go get these ballots cured. And there's so much when you go on, and they want to argue with it. I mean...
well, all the things they seem to do to make voting more open and, that are not free and equal, they create all these things. Then there's like nebulous rules on how to work with it. So you have people working in the voting areas that, don't know half the things they're supposed to do or are allowed to do.
Right.
And as a result, you get a cluster fudge.
Well, let me just say this, and I know I'm going to get messages on this. But the state of Georgia just wants to clean this up. That's my opinion. They just want to clean this up.
That's the intent of their bills.
Right, that's the intent. Just clean it up.
Nothing to see here.
We don't want to. And if you're out there and you're okay with this, then we have a disagreement, okay? They don't want mobile voting units, okay, that can be able to go up to the mall. It's actually happening.
Laps
and park outside and go in with a bullhorn and say, "Hey, you can come out here and vote." Okay, there's things like that they want to stop. They want to stop millions of dollars pouring into the state through the guise of grants. All right, through people like Zuckerberg, okay, into counties like Fulton and Gwinnett. They want to stop that. They want to clean some things up, okay? That being said, that's all these bills do, and it's much bigger than that, but that's all they do.
Are they going to happen? Are they going to go through this session and get to Kemp's desk in Georgia?
You mean,
I have concerns of what
241?
shows up. I have concerns because, let me answer what you started with HR 1. There's not enough time. And
when's
I will,
crossover's
that's
done,
done. Right, crossover's done.
Okay, so did it cross over?
Yes,
They both did.
241 and 538.
Crossed over. Now they're being.
Yeah, but your new weekend reading is SB 202. SB 202 is 93 pages long.
Holy cow! And what's
Yes.
that?
Who introduced that?
Slow down.
What is it?
Huh?
What is it?
It's another bill. It's a bill.
Is it a voting bill?
Yes, it's
Okay.
a bill that was there that they've taken. My understanding is, I got SB 202 yesterday morning. Okay,
So it's hot off the press.
Right. So I've not. It's not my weekend read yet, and I will tell you this. Okay, if I'm going to put in 93 pages, I actually had another good book that I was going to put in, not SB 202,
This is going
but
to be a 3 or 4 cigar weekend.
I have some people out there that are reading it now and breaking it down. A couple people, and they're probably watching now, and they're breaking it down to see what's in there. But SB 202 has right now, what I understand, taken some things from 214 or 241, SB 241 pushed in there, 531 pushed in there.
So it's a hybrid of the two.
It could be a hybrid. It's really confusing right now. I want to get back to your question, and I want to put this, and I want to get back to yours, and what do I think will happen. Now, HR 1, and Rick, you know this. Has it been 6 weeks now or whatever? I came out of the gate a long time with HR 1, a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
I put it up on the show.
We all did, yeah.
A long time ago, I came on the show, I'm going to say, and I said, watch this. Watch HR 1.
The reason it's got a number 1 behind it is it's the most important initiative of the Democrat Party.
And like Democrats do, they put a nice little catchy title on it, the We the People bill.
Yeah.
Okay? And, same day registration. Hey, register at this table and go over here and vote. There's a list of things that I don't have time to go through. But HR 1 basically would federalize elections, and it would nullify so much of what these states are putting in. So the reason HR 1 has come to life and has gotten the traction is they're trying to get out in front of Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Michigan, any of the state houses that are working on stuff. But primarily Georgia, they're trying to get out in front of that because they have fear that Georgia stuff is going to pass. So they want to stop it.
I disagree with one thing you said, and I think it'll be adjudicated. You said the feds will nullify. That in of itself is unconstitutional. The states have control, first and foremost, over the feds. Now they're trying to change that, but I think there's going to be so many lawsuits.
I'm going to say this.
Texas will be the number 1 in line.
Okay, now wait a minute. You disagree with what I said, and I'm with you on that.
No, I disagree from a legal standpoint.
I said nullify.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Now, the argument I heard this week, and I don't want to be quoted, I have to go back and pull it up, but supposedly the federal government is supposed to be in charge of time, place, manner federal elections go off.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what this is under the guise of. Is that
the big framework?
Right, the framework is they're expanding the framework of what they're supposed to have input on federal elections. So you're
But they
right.
can't at the cost of state rights.
In a perfect world, you're probably right.
Bruce is hitting a perfect world because
Yeah,
right now,
constitutionally-
constitutionally, this is going to be a state rights challenge. But what you just said, when I said nullify, is what they're trying to do is get out in front of these state bills. They're trying to pass this to strengthen their federal control over elections. We're going to go into the states are going to go into court and say, wait a minute, the federal government can't do this. We have the right. And then you're going to have these judges, even call them conservative. You're going to have these judges saying to states, first of all, what problem are you fixing? Because we've had Dominion validated through Brad Raffensperger. Okay, we've had all of these other states say perfect election. You got to remember, no matter what we pass, they're going to rush right into court and say, "What are we fixing here?"
Yeah, either side's going to do that.
Yeah.
No, but the Democrats are going to. What are we fixing? Because right now, the narrative is there was no fraud. The narrative is it worked. You hear, and let's just put it in a box, that the elections worked. It worked, right?
You hear that from some, but I mean, there's a whole group of people who go baloney.
The baloney people are losing right now. I hate to break it to you. The baloney people are losing.
The salamis are winning.
Yes, the salami. I had a racial, sorry, let me say that. I did not have a racial undertone to that, okay? Sorry, I just
Nothing
have to do
about
it.
Italian
The network says we have to clear it up. I want to get back to H.R. 1 and our bills, okay? The filibuster. I do think they're going to change or maybe even get rid of, but they're going to change the filibuster. I'm hearing never happen, but there's people saying that we need to do H.R. 1 because H.R. 1 did pass the House. It's over in the Senate, and Schumer said just 2 days ago it will be on the floor. And he won't stop. At all costs, they're going to work to pass this. Now, they think we ought to pass it under reconciliation because if anything's worth saving, what is worth saving? Our democracy.
voting rights.
Our democracy.
Yeah.
No. They're saving the democracy rights.
Yeah, right.
So we got to save the democracy. So anyhow, H.R. 1, I do think by hook or by crook, as my old friend used to say, they're going to figure out how to pass it. Now, I think Biden is here today in Georgia for no other reason to try to intimidate Georgia lawmakers. Like he's meeting with Biden and Kamala Harris are in Georgia to say thank you for the perfect election. Thank you for electing me, Georgia. That's what he's here for, whether you like it or not. Thank you for sending me Warnock and Ossoff.
So he's preaching to the choir. Big deal. So what?
I understand that, but the truth is he's in Atlanta trying to intimidate. Now, my joke is, I don't know if he's already here, but I wonder if Brian Kemp met him at the airport. I wonder if he'll be just wondering. Wonder if he will be joined on stage today by Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan.
Yeah,
just
the three of them
wondering,
will be holding up
right?
their hands.
Yes.
You know.
But I think they're here. They're meeting with Stacey Abrams today. Okay, so I think they're
probably for lunch.
I think they're here to intimidate our lawmakers. Now, do I think Georgia will pass voting legislation, new voting legislation? Yes, but I don't think you're going to be happy when they're done. I just think it's going to be
because of the compromises.
Yeah, I could see the bottom.
Where is this?
I could see the. I'll just give my example. I could see the bottom of this cup of coffee. That's how watered down it's going to be.
Where are we going with this?
That's what I'm thinking.
Fulton County judge.
Okay, first, big shout out, Favorado. I think his name's Favorado. I love to try it. I hope I don't.
Favorito.
Garland is an amazing guy. I met Garland, I'm going to say 10 years ago. I'm going to go back 10 years ago. I met Garland here in Ellijay, Georgia. He's nonpartisan. He has been on this for years. When we had the old Diebold election machines in Georgia, he knows his stuff. He's nonpartisan. He was looked at when it comes to voting issues. He was looked at as a little like people like he's just sounding an alarm that's not there. That was several years ago.
I mean, you threw out a name, and maybe a lot of people don't know.
I'm getting ready to go there.
Let me just set the stage.
I was setting my own damn stage.
Well, you didn't do a very good job. That's
what the hell.
Well,
take a break. We'll be right back. Set the stage.
No, I'm just saying. No. There's been several lawsuits, against in Fulton County Superior Court. Judicial Watch, among others, has asked to unseal the ballots
Right.
that are currently being held
Absentee
by
ballots.
the Secretary of State, the absentee ballots. One judge had the cojones to finally step up and say, I think this has merit.
Henry County Judge Brian Amaro. Amaro. Okay.
Yeah.
Henry County Judge.
Right. To at least listen to it, unlike what the Supreme Court did and say we don't have standing.
Right.
You don't have standing. His initial reaction was, we're not going to do this immediately, where you have to assemble a team
Right.
so that we can keep everything secret, if you will.
Right.
He didn't want to expose any of the information.
Whatever comes out, it's going to be up to the court to release.
Right. So the head of the
Right.
team is the gentleman that you spoke
Exactly.
of, that you met 10 years ago.
Garland.
He's been brought in
Favorado.
to assemble a team to look at these ballots, not just another recount.
Now,
You
this
can
is-
recount them all you want, and
Right.
they'll come up with the same count.
because of the barcode.
The question is, are the ballots even legal? Are the ballots fraudulent? And he's going to look at it in terms of paper quality, paper folding, machines that filled it in. Nobody on the down ballot, just the presidential election, was on some of these ballots. Where did they come from?
Signatures.
What they're going to do, and I thank you for that, Rick. What they're going to do, and that's where I was going with Garland. Garland is the one that did not give up on this lawsuit. It's his.
Garland is the Henry County judge.
No, not Garland.
I'm sorry, Favorito. Garland Favorito.
He is the. I forget his
Yeah.
organization, the name of his organization, nonpartisan, but. It's his lawsuit that he did not give up on.
Voter
and
Watch
he
or something like
Voter Watch or something.
Yeah.
And he wants to investigate these. Now, when they went to the judge, the big win here is the judge didn't throw it out, didn't say it didn't have merit, standing, none of the above. The judge is basically, and I'm paraphrasing, tell me more. So they really got to talk to the judge on this one in Henry County. And the judge said, okay, I'm not, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm not opposed to this. I don't see no reason why you can't look at them.
Open mind.
But it just can't be
willy-nilly.
An open door, right? You got to come back and you got to tell me, first of all, the court's going to control the information. We'll decide when it's released. You got to come back and present a plan. You have to tell us how you plan to do it, who's on the team, what you're going to do, everything. And when you present me that plan, that's when I will approve or disapprove the plan.
Yeah.
So we're almost there. This is big. And if this judge approves their plan, we could in late April start looking at these ballots. And as Rick said, they can look at, are they unusually folded, watermarks, whatever, the whole
And
list
by
that
the
you
way,
gave.
we might need now to look at the envelopes.
Exactly. So this is
Do they
this
have
is
the
big.
envelope?
Yes.
They still have the
Yes.
envelope.
This is
Yeah.
big, and nobody. It's being reported with myself and others, but you're not going to hear it on ABC, NBC, CBS.
One of the things that's very interesting, and I think I'm reading something into the fact that the courts have said we will not allow you to disclose anything that you find. It has to come through the courts.
Right.
Now, why did they do that? Because if all of a sudden it gets out that there was rampant fraud, and it's provable, you can imagine what that would do.
Oh, yeah.
There would be all
like
kinds.
finding 12,000 votes.
Yeah. Can you just find me 12.5, Brad? All I need is 12.5.
Okay, I got to move to a couple things. 'Cause I'm about to hear a dog come in here, and just because we have our pet of the week, the
Pooch of the week.
The pooch of the week is coming.
I hear the dog coming.
Earmarks. Republicans, they're up for it.
Bring them back.
104, I think it was 104 to 84, whatever there is of Republicans. 104 voted yes to bring back earmarks. And what it is you've got I love what they say. They say there's a possible of a $2 to $4 trillion infrastructure bill. Well, we know that's going to be $4 trillion. When is the Democrats like, oh, so they're going to go for the whole $4 trillion? That's my take.
Yeah.
And Republicans are saying, well, wait a minute, if I don't take a bridge home or I don't take home a bridge, hey, where's my bridge for my land? If I don't take that or do something, I'm in big trouble.
Yeah, so it's been described to me as earmarks are sort of cotton candy that you put in a garbage can to sweeten it up a little, but you still get a garbage
You
can.
still got garbage.
With some globs of cotton candy.
I will say this: I didn't get to talk to a lot of members of Congress, but I did speak to 2 members of Congress because I know their vote. I just wanted to ask them and hear it. Marjorie Taylor Greene from the Georgia 14th District voted no on earmarks, and our congressman here in the 9th District, Andrew Clyde, voted no on earmarks and actually spoke on them in the conference meeting.
You know what's interesting? Let me
Marjorie Taylor Greene, some Democrats trying to get a resolution
85 of
to get
them
her
are
thrown out.
Yeah.
phone call last night, and I don't even know why I answered it. It was a 706 number. I answered the phone, and it was a recording. It was Andrew Clyde.
Oh, cool.
He did his first town hall last night. Punch this if you want to participate. Punch this if you want to send a...
Hey, I didn't get this. Whoa.
Well, you didn't answer the phone, probably.
You're probably
I just answered it randomly, but let me tell you, he talked all about that.
Did he?
And he talked about gun control. It was pretty darn interesting.
Well,
I think he did a really good job on his first town hall. It's a virtual town hall, obviously.
Right.
He's going to do something on Second Amendment, hasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what
and I'll tell you what.
He owns several gun stores.
We are. They are going at now. We got time. We have to. Let's switch. Let's switch from the. Let's switch from.
HR1.
Bruce and I are the masters of pivot. Go ahead.
Not HR1. The one I just earmarks. Okay, 8 people are dead. Okay, a weird white guy. Okay.
Massage parlor massacre.
Weird white guy is what I call
3
it.
different ones.
We're not. Obviously, we're not taking the time as everything to see what was spinning in this guy's head. But 6 out of 8 are Asian women. Okay, so I said 2 days ago on my show, I said, look, I'm going to bring it up that this horrific 8 people killed. It's just terrible. I said, but in the next 48 hours, it won't take 24, in the next 48 hours, the media will build their narrative. Okay? What say you on this itself?
Rush to judgment, a lot of people who work in massage parlors are Asian Americans. So, if you go shoot one up, chances are there's going to be a fair amount of Asian Americans that are wounded or killed.
Okay.
And that's the narrative. And now Biden and
the narrative
coming in today are going to meet with the AAPI.
Yeah, Asian American
Pacific
Leadership.
Islanders.
Yes.
But then, who's going to be with him? I guarantee you, Warnock and.
All right, well, what say you? Now, wait a minute. You just touched on something. If you, I mean,
the narrative, you'd never know that there were 8 people killed. According to the media, there was only 6 people that mattered. But 8 people are dead. What about the other 2 people?
And after the visit today, this is going to segue right into guns.
Gun control.
Yeah.
Right.
The other thing it's going to segue into, let's blame Trump, which it already did.
Oh, what's her name? The pasty white woman.
Sacco?
Yeah, Psaki or whatever her name is.
Raggedy Ann.
She has already said.
Got
I played
hair
that.
going.
I played that yesterday. She already said.
It's all Trump's fault because you've got to look at the narrative that was going on in the previous administration, blaming the flu, blaming the COVID virus on Wuhan, blaming it on the Chinese. It's no wonder that they're being targeted, Asian people, because they have been misconstrued and, it was all their fault.
Look at all the big disease and outbreaks we've had. They all have the name of a place. West Nile.
Exactly.
Spanish flu. Ebola.
Yeah.
Ebola. China flu is no big deal, folks.
Yeah, exactly.
So what you're saying is, if you walk into a massage parlor, odds are most of the time Asian.
Yeah, and all the women know fingernails. I mean, the same thing. I mean, they're all Vietnamese or Chinese or Indonesian.
Remember the Seinfeld routine?
Don't go there. This is too serious. Don't go there. So, okay. All right. Because I was thinking the same thing. Is that interest, is that industry predominantly Asian women? I don't know. But is that, same thing with nail salons or whatever they're called? I don't know.
It either is or it's stereotyped.
Right.
And I'm saying that it's predominantly.
Yeah, and some of the big cities are. Or you get out into the rural areas, there's probably less so.
All right, so guns.
Two were in Atlanta, within the city
Buckhead.
of Atlanta, and one was
Crisp County.
Yeah. So.
All right, so the border, it's not a crisis,
that's what
or
they
it is
call
a
it.
crisis?
The border?
Yeah, is it a crisis?
It's a cluster fudge. Yeah.
She said Psaki made a mistake and said border crisis, and they caught her yesterday, and she said border. No, I didn't say that. Border challenge. It's a challenge. Border challenge.
Well, she walked that
and
back.
Mayorkas, is that his name? The
Mayorkas.
Mayorkas, the HHS secretary.
Yeah.
He got angry to the point he said, "Let me tell you what a crisis is. A crisis is when you rip a 9-year-old child out of a mother's arm. That's a humanitarian crisis." What the heck? So 65-year-old lady, this is not a joke, it's like this is the opening. 65-year-old lady walks into a bank in a state that the governor has lifted all restrictions, all right?
Bank of America.
Into a bank that her money is in, okay? She's going to withdrawal or whatever because she said, my money's in here, I'm here to take it out. She doesn't wear a mask. The bank does have a sign saying mask required, but she doesn't wear one. Her governor told her no more restrictions. She goes into her bank, where else? Texas, right?
San Antonio, wasn't it?
San Antonio, Texas. And ends up getting thrown to the floor, handcuffed, and put in a police car. She's not wearing a mask, okay?
65 years old.
65 years old. But just right down the road at the border, we have drug cartels.
Machine gun fire in the background.
Machine gun fire in the background. Coyotes.
Only for effect.
Wait a minute. I love this. Is mine. I love this. Coyotes, and not Wile E. Coyote, by the way.
Yeah.
Coyotes. Who was the lawmaker that didn't know what coyotes was? Remember that? It was pretty funny in the last time when it was said. But we have coyotes moving people for a price. What is it? Is it 9 or 12%? Are we finding out about 12% coming across has COVID? Right?
Yep.
So we're somewhere around there. So we've got drugs, open border, anybody's coming in from the Middle East and some of these hotbeds.
Sex, drugs, and money.
Right? But just up the road, we're throwing a 65-year-old woman on the ground and putting her in handcuffs for not wearing a mask.
Well, isn't the out that private establishments can have their own rules? That the mask thing was for state buildings or something or whatever.
I get it, but private places can have their own rules. I'm just thinking, wait a minute, we got a border crisis, and everything I'm hearing is the border is open, just open.
Oh yeah,
it's open.
Well, I look
and
they won't. They brought in FEMA, FEMA, the Emergency Management Association, to
the keyword emergency.
Yeah, but here's the thing: transparency.
To help shuttle people to shelters or build shelters.
And they're not telling anybody.
But
the
here's
federal government's not telling the states.
Here's the thing: they're talking
doing.
about transparency in this administration.
Yes.
Trump was fully transparent. I mean, he'd take 20 minutes before he got on the helicopter. Biden has on the 25th, he has a scheduled press conference Thursday, so he can be shot up with his vitamin B. He can take off his vitamins. I'm serious. So he can be well rested. He can get all the questions. He'll know 48 hours in advance. He'll know 48 hours in advance what is the information that he needs to address. It'll be so set up, this press conference. But anyhow, getting back to transparency, Trump's administration, you want to go to the border? Come on, let's go. You want to take a ride? Let's go. You want to go in the facilities? Bring your cameras. Biden's administration will not let the cameras in.
I know.
No ride-alongs?
Nothing.
Yeah. I mean,
the media, you see the media turning a little bit? That's a sweet-looking animal, isn't it?
It is. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
What's up with that? Let's talk about not the animal, the media turning.
Oh,
I noticed that they're getting a little
They're getting
like
a little antsy. You know, Psaki wants to go. Sorry, Jen, I'll mispronounce your name on purpose. The media wants
Circle
to.
back to you.
Yeah, the media wants. She wants to control the narrative, but you know, you're noticing now that every question is coming back, and that she's getting really irritated about it.
Yes, she is.
Regardless of the news organization.
Yeah, and it isn't just Fox or OAN.
Exactly,
They're starting to
exactly.
get some of the majors.
You're starting to get the majors.
Well,
going,
I think
you know
some
what,
of them are sitting
why
out
aren't
there
we-
saying, "We're looking really bad."
Yeah.
We didn't care to
look
help.
like
We were
doofuses.
helping carry your water. We're looking really bad.
Yeah, you're
and,
making
and,
us look like morons.
and look at the audience. Audience. CNN is losing. They're bleeding audience
Oh,
like
yeah.
crazy. The New York Times. Go look it up later. The New York Times is going to switch to looking at some other things to do because since Trump is out, they don't have news. They don't have enough news.
Yeah, I'd like to see Rachel Madcow's ratings.
Right.
You know, she was
They don't
like
have news.
suddenly burst into prominence. Now I don't know where the heck she
Yeah,
is.
they don't have COVID reports in the morning that they can be negative
Well,
about.
what about Joe and Mika? I mean, where are they? I mean, are they?
They'll invent anything just to lie about for 3 hours a day. They
Really?
just, they I don't even want to get started.
So they're
there.
probably dropping
Pathological.
viewers.
Winners or losers. Winners and losers.
Yeah. Okay. Let me
Air balls, jump shots, whatever you call them.
Let me
Swing and a miss.
let me do my losers first. U.S. government is promoting and protecting LGBTQI plus persons. They are fighting a cultural war with other nations that don't share our progressive views on social values. So immediately, Hungary, Poland, Turkey, and Greece are saying this is BS. You know, we don't have anything in our national charters or constitutions about same-sex marriage. So the question is, why would the U.S., you know, in this new "we're going to be friends to the world" thing, immediately go and knock allies on the defense side of things? And we haven't even gotten to the Arab nations yet. So I think, you know, the U.S. government pushing this for the Secretary of Defense is just a loser. Winner, I have two. One, Ron DeSantis, basically for saying we're not going to do critical race theory in our schools. That
And the money he's pushing into schools is for civic.
history and
yes,
and civics.
And teachers can get up to a $3,500 bonus for taking the courses to teach it. Yeah, there's a bonus
They'd
right
have to take a course to teach it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they
need a
teachers,
refresher.
yeah, teachers that are take the courses in teaching it or whatever. I forget, but you're right about that. Ron DeSantis, way to go on that, Governor.
And my other winner is Vladimir Putin. Because, you know, in answering the question, who is a low-life, lying, murdering, no-good SOB killer? Well, Vlad, that's how Vlad was described by Joe Biden. And he came back and said, yeah, but takes one to know
Takes one to know one. There's more to that. I guarantee you there's more to that.
And he said, I'll do a live debate with you immediately.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he did. No, and I like what he said, unedited.
Unedited.
Yes. So I have been saying that Joe's stuff is on TV so they can edit it.
Yeah.
They're editing, right, unedited.
Joe's
and
not going to take up that offer.
you did find out this week from that Intel report, Hunter Biden, the whole Hunter Biden thing was a myth.
Yeah.
It was a myth.
because that's been sold. It was a Chinese.
Winners or losers and losers.
Winner and loser in the same breath. Okay, if anybody hasn't seen the debate that was on the floor between Fauci and Dr. Rand Paul, you got to look at it because my winner is Rand Paul and my loser is Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci since day one, yes. Dr. Fauci since day one has based everything he said on conjecture. And I challenge a lot of the science that he prescribes is what he's basing it on. It is conjecture, folks. Between the double masks after you've had the vaccine, which is, I agree with Rand Paul, is total theater. I think Rand Paul did a great job, and I agree with the doctors when they said this morning that he really deserves more time because no one's asking Fauci the right questions. No one's asking Fauci the right questions.
Loser this week, once again, another Obama appointee that is going to institute all these progressive things that we just hear about, and it's at rapid speed, is, I think his name is Becerra. is it HHS secretary?
Yes.
He is now the HHS secretary. So for people out there that are pro-life, the list goes on of the reasons why we are the losers with him being voted in, and they do that under the cover, the smoke screens, the daily smoke screens. Next, you will see assistant HHS secretary be approved, and it's a, I don't want to call it a dark day, but when you see some of these confirmations, okay, so that's the loser. The winner, let me say this, the winner is, you know, I get to go a lot of places and meet people, and let me just say this. When we're walking down life's highway, you've heard it said that way, right? You're going down life's highway and you're walking down the path every day in this world. I'm just so thankful. I really want to be sincere with this. I'm just so thankful of who God on a daily basis puts in my pathway as I'm walking along, unsuspecting to me. I never know who I'm going to meet from day to day. And, you know, in a little town of Andrews, North Carolina, and you know out there how much I love baseball. I'm a baseball nut, the Cub fan over here, we know it. And in a little town of Andrews, North Carolina, I spent over an hour in an office with a guy you just won't know his name. His name's Lance Bristol. Used to be a bat boy years ago in the major leagues because his dad is Dave Bristol, 40 years in the major leagues, 87 years old. Brought the big red machine, was pumped up. Dave Bristol is in the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame, right? Managed here for the Atlanta Braves.
Yep, 3 years each.
Was the first manager for the Milwaukee Brewers as a expansion team. 40 years. I was listening to Pete Rose stories. I was listening to all kinds of stories. And in fact, the Cub fan and I here are working on scheduling, just going up, sitting down, no time limit, turning on the camera with Dave Bristol, and just talking baseball for hours, hopefully, with him.
87 years old,
87
plays golf
years,
every day.
Plays golf every day, 87. But I really want to say that it's just so enjoyable. And you never know if you'll allow it. I'll just say that if you'll open yourself up and allow it, you just never know on life's highway who you get to meet. And I just thank God for that. I really enjoyed meeting Lance Bristol. You're my winner of the week. I enjoyed our time together. And so we'll go on that. We have our pet of the week. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. This is, I don't want to say most beautiful pooch.
Rena, I can't even believe that hasn't
Yes.
been adopted already.
Yes, it will after
She
this
has.
segment.
She has been.
We're running.
10:30 today.
We're running late, but the Humane Society of Blue Ridge.org. Right after these messages, don't you leave.
Circuit World has complete queen bedroom packages at amazing prices. Get this queen bed, dresser and mirror, one nightstand, bedding set, and free 32-inch TV, all for only $1799.99 or $129.99 a month. Or get this complete queen bedroom set and sleep in style, also for only $1799.99 or $129.99 a month. What an incredible deal! Stop in today at one of our 5 locations and get the furniture you've always wanted at Circuit World.
Ace is your helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Spring is coming. Time to work and play in a new truck or SUV from Day Chevrolet in Jasper. Now save $8,000 off new Silverado crew cabs, or save $5,000 off a new Chevy Equinox. The spring savings are here right now. So soak up that warm North Georgia sun and see Day Chevrolet in Jasper, #1 in truck country. Find new roads.
Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Hey folks, we're back. Oh yes, I'm talking about you. This is Coda from the Humane Society of Blue Ridge.org. Turn around.
Sit.
Turn around. Rena, tell us about this beautiful young lady.
Coda is approximately 3 years old. She was an owner surrender. You cannot find a more perfect dog. She doesn't jump. I have yet to hear her bark. Her worst trait is that she's a little slow on trying to eat. We're trying to make sure that she eats. She's a little upset because she doesn't want to be with us. But she has someone coming to look at her at 10:30. And I really can't imagine them saying they don't want this beautiful dog. She does play. We've had her outside, and we throw this little squeaky toy. She loves squeaky toys, and she runs and gets it and brings it back. But for the most part, this is Coda. This is how she is, unless you want to play with her. She walks great on a leash. She rides great in the truck.
Oh, her smiling. It's smiling. Sorry.
No, that's all right. There's just not enough good things to say about her. She is the perfect dog. I'm telling you.
Oh, her puppy. Hey, the puppy. Are you smiling?
She has thick,
like
thick fur.
Do you like that?
You know, so obviously she's going to shed. But like
Yeah,
I said,
I've,
she isn't going to be with us long.
I've used up a couple vacuums on some shedding.
Tell
But
me
you
about
know
it.
what? You know what? I would do it for a good-looking poop.
Good girl.
Okay, this is Coda from the Humane Society of Blue Ridge Folks.org. Humane Society of Blue Ridge.org. Now, did the puppies get a home?
Lexi got a home. I still have Titan.
Okay.
Titan is still with me. You okay, honey?
Give me a Coda.
Come over there.
Come over here.
There you go.
Here's the baby.
And I'm trying to think now who else. We had 3 or 4 or 5 cats adopted, which is really good. 2 went to one home, and Socks, who was with us for 2 years, finally got adopted. It's hard. It was a cat, yeah. It's a cat. But we've had some adoptions, and it's really been good. We have 2 others, Opie and Teddy, that are possibly going home this next week. And we still have Katrina's still looking for a home. She's a great dog. This is pretty much what Katrina does. And Thor's there. And Tux is down to 50. I want to say it was 56.03. So he started at 74. He has lost almost 20 pounds.
Oh, who the pup? Here's my pup.
So he is doing really good. He's probably almost to his ideal weight. And Tux he's able to go home. I'll try to bring him next week again so you can see.
Yeah, we'd like to see Tux.
He's
and
doing
upgrade.
really well.
Oh, her the puppy. Yes. You are comfortable now. That's why you sit down.
Yeah.
You're finally comfortable. Humane Society of BlueRidge.org. You know what? My cat is a fat cat. My cat's got his own rocking chair. You ever see a cat rock? My cat does
No.
rocks in a rocking chair.
Really?
Yes.
A little rocking chair?
Yeah. No. I have.
An adult rocking chair?
Yes, I have 4 rocking chairs on the front porch.
Apollo gets on mine.
My Mittens kitten, which I'm now calling her Fat Cat because she's a lazy thing. I love my cat. I struggle with that.
But you do.
But my Mittens kitten, right? So she actually you will hear, sitting in the living room, you hear the rocking chair go back and forth on the porch.
You're kidding.
Yeah,
and
Mittens.
she's up there rocking.
Yeah, Mittens rocking in her chair. Okay, let's find, what's this young lady's name?
Coda.
Coda's Forever Home. Maybe we have somebody coming to look at Coda. But you can go to the Humane Society of BlueRidge.org. You can look at all of the great pets.
Cats, kittens. It is
Cats,
kitten
kittens,
season.
dogs out there.
Puppies,
And they have their hours of operation. Now you're open again. You have hours of opening.
I want to say April 1st.
April
The
1st.
doors will be open. We're still
Okay.
following protocol like everyone else. But we are open Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 to 5, and Saturdays 10 to 2. If you do want to set up, if you go on our website, you can go on Facebook, you can go on Humane Society of BlueRidge.org and look at the cats, the kittens, the dogs, the puppies. And if you do want to meet one, just give us a call, 706-632-4357, and just go ahead and set up a day and a time to come on out and meet them. And that's really the easiest way right now, rather than just walking in. Sometimes we're cleaning, and at least if we know when someone's coming, we can make the arrangements better.
Yes, we always like to know when somebody's coming, so we can clean up.
Yeah. No, I don't mean it like that. We
No,
clean every day.
I mean it like
that. Yeah, I don't even bother anymore.
Let me know your fit.
I have 4 dogs and a
Humane Society of BlueRidge.org. Our friends there look at
Ready?
Coda and all of her friends out there. You have been smiling this morning. So we're going to try to find Coda's Forever Home. Now, how is our friend doing? It's been a couple weeks. Nico.
Nico, the last I had talked to him, he was doing really well. He was still iffy with his eating, but he always was. And I have reached out again to just make sure and talk to him again, but I have not heard anything. The man does have his own business, so.
So right now, what we know is Nico is doing okay.
Still doing very well, yes.
He gets to go to the business every day and see people.
He meets the customers, he meets his friends, he goes for rides. Again, the biggest thing with him was, what do I feed him? Because he's just one of those dogs like Coda here, just kind of like, well, today I like it, tomorrow I don't. So that's we've been feeding Coda some real chicken with her food, and she's been eating quite
Oh, you
well
like
since we
chicken,
did
do
it. Yes, she does.
Folks, we'll be back. Don't forget to tune in tonight at 7 p.m. We have 2 football games, believe it or not, high school football games. Andrews will be hosting Hayesville, Smoky Mountain Conference there, and Andrews will be hosting Hayesville High School, and we have Murphy Bulldogs hosting Swain, right, Emily? Is that Swain, right? And so that's tonight. Tune in, fyntv.com at 7. I will be back Monday morning at 8 a.m., and I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave, but we got to go, and we will see you later. Enjoy the weekend.